What's going on, guys? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another baseball video. I'm not sure why I did that. That was more of like a golf backswing than a baseball backswing. Okay. What we're going to be doing in today's video is we will be talking about some of the best baseball players that we've ever seen that will not be returning in the 2019 baseball season. So this video is going to be really cool, but it's also going to hit you right here. Right in your corazon, right in your feels, okay? It's probably going to make you cry because these players, they were at the top of their game. Some of these guys might have been your favorite players growing up, and now they're not even on the bench. They're not even in the minors. They're officially out of baseball. It's so sad. We're getting old real fast. But before we get into today's video, make sure you guys slap a like on this one if you are enjoying it. Subscribe for more baseball content, and without further ado, let's start talking baseball. So if we think about it, in the last few seasons, we've lost a number of really high-profile players. I mean, in 2018, it was no different. But before that, we saw Derek Jeter go. That was like the first domino. Then there was Josh Hamilton. Then there was Big Papi. There's just so many players leaving. And now we're going to talk about those that left in 2018 because there's a lot of big fishes that are just... I'm upset. I'm sure most of you will be familiar with all the names that we bring up because what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the most high profile players, and then also towards the end of the video we're going to recap all of the maybe little guys that have retired and no longer going to be in baseball, but they're still worth mentioning. So again, I'm going to try my best not to forget anyone, but the first player on our list, I think you guys are going to really, this one's going to really hurt you. Adrian Beltre retired in 2018, and I'm going to miss everything that he brought to the game of baseball. The way that this video is going to work is we're going to talk about the player, their stats. Adrian Beltre, his career stats are absolutely mind-boggling. He almost had a career 100 WAR. That's insane. So in 2018, his final year in baseball at 39 years old, Adrian Beltre played in 119 games. He had 15 home runs, 65 RBIs, and a 273 batting average. So if I'm being honest with you guys, that is not horrible. That's pretty average in terms of just being a third baseman or a DH in baseball. He could have probably kept on playing. So let's go over the rest of his career stats. In 21 years in baseball, Adrian Beltre had 3,166 base hits, 477 home runs, 1,707 RBIs. He also added 121 stolen bases, so not too shabby, Mr. Beltre. A 286 lifetime batting average to go along with the 819 career OPS. He also won 5 gold gloves. So not only could Adrian Beltre get it done in the batter's box, but in regards to his rocket arm and his glove, there was no better third baseman in baseball, and he's been the best for quite some time. There's another player that we're going to talk about in this video that did retire in 2018 that could possibly push Adrian Beltre as the best third baseman in the league the last couple years, but now he is passing the torch off to the guys like Nolan Arenado and maybe even Matt Chapman in his later years, but Adrian Beltre, this guy was insane. Coming up next, we have one of my favorite players of all time, Chase Utley, the second baseman for the Philadelphia Phillies. And not only is he one of my favorite players in the league, Hank Aaron actually came out and said, Chase Utley is my guy. If I'm watching anyone, I'm watching Chase Utley. And that's coming from Hank Aaron, one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Now, the unfortunate thing about Chase Utley is the fact that his career kind of took a nosedive. He was playing with the Dodgers a few years ago when he faced off against the Mets, and he had a slide going into second base where a lot of people said that it was dirty. And ever since that, Chase Utley just kind of got a bad rap, and no one really wanted to give the guy his props. But it's safe to say that Chase Utley is a borderline Hall of Famer. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below, once we read over his stats, is he a Hall of Famer or is he not? So let's get into the stats real quick. But either way, I'm going to miss Utley in 2019. Chase Utley had a 65.4 career WAR. He had 1,885 base hits to go along with 259 home runs, a 275 batting average, 1,025 RBIs, and a career 823 OPS. So Chase Utley was an all-around amazing player. What we're going to do now is we're going to go over some of his best seasons because, again, this is coming from a second baseman. Second basemen are not supposed to be putting up these power numbers. These are video game numbers. So in 2006, Chase Utley had 32 home runs, 102 RBIs, and a 309 batting average. In 2008, Chase Utley has 33 home runs, 104 RBIs, and a 292 batting average. In 2009, he had 31 home runs, 93 RBIs, and a 282 batting average. So again, not going to be the best defensive second baseman in the league, although he could hold his own. He was pretty good over there at second base. But if you wanted a pure second baseman that was the best hitter in the league at his position, you were going for either Robinson Cano or Chase Utley back in the day. But in my opinion, I'd probably go Chase Utley as an offensive force over Robinson Cano. That's just me. Their primes are pretty similar. but I'm taking Chase Utley, and again, I think we're all gonna miss him. Another borderline Hall of Famer is Joe Mauer. He was on Head & Shoulders bottles. He was on the cover of MLB The Show twice. He was from Minnesota, came up with the Twins, so it's just a really good feel-good story. And on top of that, Joe Mauer was not only a nice guy, but one of the best players and catchers this game has ever seen. Let's go over his stats real quick. For his career, Joe Mauer had a 55.1 career WAR, 2,123 base hits. He was not a power hitter, so he did finish with only 143 career home runs, but he had a 306 batting average and an 827 OPS. Again, this is all coming at the catching position. Now, I know towards the later half of his career, he was a DH and a first baseman, but that's because he got a concussion. You know, things happen with injuries, but imagine if he never had that concussion. I think that's going to play into the role of if he's going to be a Hall of Famer or not. In my opinion, Joe Mauer is a Hall of Famer. Now, one of the best seasons that we've ever seen from a backstop was Joe Mauer back in 2009 when he won MVP. Check out these numbers. This is from a catcher, okay? Not only did he win a Gold Glove, but Joe Mauer put up a 365 batting average, a 1.031 OPS, which is Barry Bonds numbers. He had 28 home runs and 96 RBIs. Again, if you stacked it up with some of the best catching seasons of all time overall, with the glove, with the arm, in the batter's box, Joe Mauer might have topped them all with that season. So far, we've talked about Adrian Beltre, Chase Utley, and Joe Mauer. Coming up at the number 4 spot, who is not returning in 2019, might have been the best of the bunch in his prime, but injuries unfortunately took a toll on his career. David Wright, the captain of the New York Mets. Yes, I know it was his last season in 2018. He did not even really play in any games. He came back for one. I'm pretty sure he went 0 for 2, and it didn't really end well. But injuries, they'll get you, man. Same with Grady Sizemore. I feel like Grady Sizemore could have been a Hall of Fame talent, but injuries, they'll get you every time. David Wright was a 7-time All-Star. He won the Silver Slugger twice. He also was a Gold Glover, not once, but twice. For his career, he garnered a 50.4 WAR. He had 1,777 base hits, 242 home runs, a 296 batting average, and an 867 career OPS. But if we take a look at some of his best seasons, I mean, we see a 27 and 102 with a 306 batting average to go along with 17 stolen bases. In my opinion, his best overall year came in 2007 when he had 30 home runs, 107 RBIs, 34 stolen bases, a Gold Glove, and the man hit 325. As a third baseman, you can't have a better season than that. He had power, he drove in runs, he scored runs, he got base hits, he won a Gold Glove, and oh yeah, he stole 34 stolen bases. I mean, what more do you want? So take a look at these David Wright highlights. I'm going to miss this man a lot. He was one of the best ambassadors for the game. I tip my cap off to you, David. One of my favorite players ever. The last star that we're going to talk about, we're not going to spend too much time on, although he did have a pretty profound impact on the game itself at the DH position, but at the beginning of his career, he was mainly a catcher. We're talking about Victor Martinez. As an Indians fan, I can say I really liked Victor Martinez. He had a 32.2 career WAR. He had 2,153 base hits, 246 home runs, a 295 career batting average, and an 815 OPS. In 2014, Victor Martinez finished second in the MVP race for the Tigers. He had 32 home runs, 103 RBIs, a 335 batting average, and a 974 OPS. He did miss the entire 2012 season with injury, so imagine if he would have actually played that. But in 2004 with the Indians, when he was 25 years old, Victor Martinez had 23 home runs, 108 RBIs, and a 283 batting average. One of his last years in Cleveland in 2007, he had 25 home runs, 114 RBIs, and a 301 batting average. So again, if you want a catcher that could just rake, Victor Martinez was your guy. The final player that we will not see in 2019, now he hasn't played in quite some time, but Ryan Howard, the old first baseman for the Phillies, he officially called it quits. He hung up the cleats in 2018. In his prime, Ryan Howard was one of the best offensive forces this game has ever seen. And I'm not just using hyperbole. I am not being dramatic when I say that. If I read off these stats, you guys are going to be blown away. Maybe you forgot about Ryan Howard, or maybe you're young and you've never heard of Ryan Howard, but let me read you his 2006 stats when he won the National League MVP at just 26 years old. He had 58 home runs, 149 RBIs, a 313 batting average, and a 1.084 OPS. Ryan Howard was not going to get it done on the field. We know that he was a big, lengthy guy. He was going to hit a lot of home runs, and that's exactly what he did. Then in 2009, he had 45 and 141, and then his last All-Star season in 2010, he had 31 home runs and 108 RBIs in 143 games. So Ryan Howard was the definition of production. I've never seen a guy just completely go off in the stretch that he did. I thought Ryan Howard honestly was on the trajectory of being able to compete for the next guy to have 700 home runs, because I'm not sure who that next guy is going to be. Is it going to be Pujols? Is it going to be Trout? Is it going to be Stanton? I'm not sure. I thought it was going to be Howard, but unfortunately he tore his Achilles, and then it kind of went all downhill from there. But Ryan Howard, I feel like I had to include him even though he hasn't played in a few years. So guys, what do you think of all the players that will not be returning in 2019? Who's going to be a Hall of Famer from the player that we mentioned? We have Beltre, Utley, Joe Mauer, we have David Wright, Victor Martinez, Ryan Howard's in there. I'm pretty sure that Ichiro's playing this year, so I couldn't really include him, but then he signed a contract this year in 2019 with the Mariners. He's going to be playing in Japan, so I'm not really sure how that works. But the honorable mentions for this video, kind of the players that were not the biggest household names, but they still made a pretty good impact on the game itself when they were playing. We have Jaime Garcia, Dylan G, Jared Saltalamacchia, Mike Napoli, Brad Ziegler, Miguel Montero, Andre Ethier, Shane Victorino, and Jason Wirtz. So those are all the guys that retired officially in 2018. We will not be seeing a return from them anytime soon. If you guys enjoyed this video, slap a like on this one, subscribe if you want to see more baseball content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. All the small things